Hello, Pauline. Thank you very much for
Hello,
your
Carmen.
time.
I'm happy to be here and to chat to you about my favourite topic.
Yes, yes. So in April, you're going to bring to us another early childhood workshop. It's a 2-day workshop, and the
Yes.
name of it is The Art of Play and Wonder. And what a
Hmm.
wonderful theme that is. But, a lot of parents or teachers may think nowadays everybody is prioritizing achievement and, academic success. So why play? Why are we talking about play now? Shouldn't we be concentrating more in helping the young children to progress? What's the point of play? Can you tell us a bit more about
Well,
that?
yes, I can talk about that because each of us in our biography has a special time in life called a childhood. And in childhood, we learn differently than in the rest of our lives. So, and if I talk about how we learn in childhood, it's not about the rational mind. And when you talk about us wanting children to achieve and get more academic and get more academic more quickly, we're forgetting how a child actually learns. And we can put pressures on them that actually are quite harmful. So if I look at how a child learns, I look at um, the fact that everything is new. That's why we have wonder. Everything is new to them.
Mm.
It's like a gradual awakening into what the world is going to offer them. And they're going to explore with all their senses the environment around them. And that's one way they learn, by sensory exploration. And we can call that play because it's actually very enjoyable. And when you're a child, you are inwardly motivated to pursue
Mm.
that playful activity.
Yeah, I remember, when my son was 3 years old, at that time I had no understanding of childhood at all, but I was like just pushing down like the times table to him. It's quite embarrassing, but it's quite common in my culture. So I remember how
Well, then it
how
gives
much
you an
torture I've given him.
understanding. That has given you an understanding. Yeah. I think it never hurts us to come from that position because you're actually showing that as a human being, we continue to learn throughout life and that we
Yeah.
can change and we can, and that the little child comes along and actually asks us to change because something in how that child behaves and in our communication and our love for that child, we learn from them
Mm.
because we've gone into an adult world. When we have a child, we're an adult usually, and we have a rational way of thinking, and we sort out what the world offers us through our rational thinking. So we discard things we don't want to look at, or we choose things that we'll pursue, or we'll even not see a person that we feel is having a bad influence on us. But a child is open in, and when we say they learn with senses, the senses are open windows to the world. So they don't have that ability to say, oh, I won't look at that, or I won't behave like that person because it's actually quite distressing. They just
Mm.
take it in some way, and then they play with what
Mm.
they've taken in. So they might repeat that bit, they might yell, they might hit,
Mm.
they replay all those experiences they've seen. And that's why when you're in a very happy play situation, you'll see children
Mm.
cooking, you'll see children putting other children to bed, you'll see children making amazing vehicles and
Yeah.
riding in them, but all through and then other faculties that they have in childhood. When I said to you that the child is learning first by sensory exploration, I don't want to put an order in anything, but they also learn by imitation. We learn by being with other human beings who are active in the world and
Mm.
who are showing us what it's like to be a grown up.
Mm.
So if the child is surrounded by people who actually demonstrate how it is to be a living, um, healthy human being, then the child has more material in their foundation to help them navigate the pathways of life. That then gives the adult a different role than the
Mm.
person who is trying to push their child further, because this adult who wants to demonstrate being a healthy human being would understand that the child needs to come a little bit step by step. We can't take giant leaps when we're a child because everything is new. That's why I think we have the word wonder there. Everything is new. So we can't take giant steps and skip a whole lot of in between steps. And a lot of us as adults will have very funny memories of that, where we had something given to us that we understood in a particular way. But then when we grow up, we actually realise, oh, I missed a whole lot there. That was actually, it had a different meaning altogether. So if we could remember that childhood is a special time, we learn in a special way. Imitation and sensory exploration are the prime methods. But there are other aspects to being a child, and one is that we do need our learning to be self-motivated, because then we want to do it. We enjoy it. And you will find children who've been put to school at 4 years old and asked to write, or asked, to have rational thinking. Rudolf Steiner wasn't the only person to point out that children of this age have not developed that capacity yet, and they can become quite pale, and even a teenager can become quite pale from overstudying. And so you look at, as a child, I want healthy nurture to be my role as an adult, and I would also like to demonstrate healthy behaviour, and I would also like to allow my child to come step by step into the world, because what 4-year-old needs to read the newspaper, really? Like, you have to think, what does this child need? And he needs foundation experiences that are going to stand beside him as truth for the rest of his life.
It's a
And a
bit
lot of
like
our
we are like growing a seed, you can't put too much of anything in there. You just need to plant or the seed to grow strong roots for it to grow into a strong, healthy plant or tree, isn't
Well,
it?
if you look at that scenario, that's another good example of that, is you have to watch a little bit. You have to be patient a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
and you have to look at the weather. And
yeah.
so if you look at that with the child, it'll be a great help, because patience is an enormous help to parents around small children. Taking care to observe actually what is that child doing and saying in their activity without words. Um, and
Yeah.
also, I do have some say in what surrounds my child, because quality counts, and this is in childhood as well. And we know that if we dress our child warmly in natural fibres, then their skin can breathe and they'll be more comfortable. And if we feed them rhythmically or make sure they sleep rhythmically, then our child will have a stronger health foundation. And so that's creating the weather for the child, and that's an adult's role as well. And if you do those, take that responsibility, then your child has got the opportunity to pursue through their own inner
Yeah.
ability to unfold what's already in there, but it's got to come out at the right time and be slowly allowed to emerge. Then the child will come to all the things you want them to come to, but it might be at a different pace than you expected.
Yeah. So you were mentioning that, looking at children, at their play or observing their play. And I know that this is something very interesting to a lot of parents, because a lot of them, they may not be able to speak very well yet, or they express themselves and understand what's actually going on. So what can we actually observe from, their activities or from their painting or their drawing? You have been the kinder teacher for so many years. You must have seen a lot of children growing up, observing so many of them doing things. Can you tell us just a little bit about what can people learn about when they come to this workshop?
Well, I hope to be able to show you some of examples of children's drawing. But what you say is true about having many years of looking at many children. I was actually at a doctor's this morning, and in that surgery, they allow children. They have white paper and pencils. They take it away in COVID, but it's back again. and they pin all the children's pictures up, and they have a book there to add the pictures into. And I'm always, well, today I sat there really amused because there are many symbols that occur again and again across cultural differences, across countries, but mainly I'm observing in Australia. But we'll see the same symbols occurring at different times in a child's life. And those symbols have a lot of, if you learn to look for them, you'll have a great understanding. But as a parent of one child, you might not see it as quickly. So you might think, if you just gather your children's drawings and allow them to draw without asking them, what is this or is this take your expectation away and just keep them, like that doctor does, in a folder where they just put in there. Not to say this is a great end product. It's actually a playful experience. It can be gone. We don't need to celebrate one thing, but you can then look over things and see. And you can see that children are actually expressing things that they could never talk about. They actually, I've got beautiful examples of children very young who become very interested in cars and trains. And I think most parents will be able to say, oh, yes to that. There's a sudden interest in that. And then their drawings will have the coupling on it. And I saw one of those in the surgery today where the coupling between the trailer and the car has taken a lot of detail.
Wow.
Because that child has really looked carefully at that. And I would have a lot of examples in mind of children who've done the same. They've noticed that the driver sits up the front. They've noticed if there's a wheel or there's no wheel. Quite often the driver is looking out the window. So the child is observing the world, and so, we start with what looks like scribble, but so we call it scribble, but we need to value it because it's like a chaos, and out of that chaos comes the first markings that say, oh, actually, I'm aware that I'm a little person, and I'm not my mother, and I'm not my brother and sister. I am me, and you can learn to see that is shown in the drawings. But one of the things I would love for parents and educators to see much more astutely, if I put that word there, is that they're asking children to write before the children have created their own symbols. So if a child is still making random spirals and circles and maybe intersecting lines, but you should be able to see from that whether your child should be shown how to write their name or not, because the physical dexterity is not there yet. But I look at it more that I want my child to have created all the symbols that human beings have always created. You can look at them at any country in the world. Circles, squares, crosses, spirals, nets. Indigenous people have shown us all their symbols as well, the symbols that all children make. The rainbow symbol is very common, and it comes down to being a female symbol or a enclosing symbol or a campfire symbol. Doesn't matter about what it's called. If you're able to draw those symbols and you differentiate circles, you can put eyes and a nose on, you can put a sky and a ground. You're starting to show whether you would be ready to write or not. And I know children go to school nowadays, coming back to your very first comments, they go to school at 4.5 and they immediately ask to write. And some of those children, I could take out their drawings and show you that they should not be being forced to write now, because it is a form of being forced, because they actually haven't made really easy circles yet. Hasn't come yet. They can't put the line beside the circle yet. I can see that from their drawing. And from other children who've been allowed to keep on drawing themselves and be imaginative, I have seen that they can draw. I've got a beautiful picture of a row of cups. They're all hanging in a cupboard, and the child they're just one cup after one cup after one cup, but the child has folded the two ends of the paper over. And then you can unfold them and see the cups in the cupboard. And I think that child can write because all the cups are in a row. They're very similar in size. They sit under each other in lines. And here we are showing we're ready. And then
Wow.
I could show you another child of the same age who's
Yeah.
drawing very pale and
Yeah.
it still has not got clear circles and lines.
Mm.
So that's not hard for us. Even I'm not qualified to really look as a psychologist could at some children's drawings, but I've learnt a lot from
Mm.
just observing them.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Pauline. And I think all of the early childhood teachers who, haven't done this sort of thing before, haven't realized that there is so much learning or so much observations that they can make, or parents as well. I think they will be fascinated to come to this workshop. So there are a lot more content in this 2-day workshop.
Mhm.
So please check out our website and register for this workshop. We only have it in perhaps once a year workshop. It's going to be in the first Friday and Saturday of April at the seminar. So thank you very much, Pauline, for your time, and we hope to see you then.
I do. Thank you.